Harold. I'll be calling the boxing match, of course, with HBO boxing analyst Larry Merchant and Boxing After Dark expert, legendary trainer-manager Emmanuel Stewart, coming off his giant success 2 weeks ago with Lennox Lewis, regaining the heavyweight championship. Right now, both fighters are in the ring, so let's take a closer look with Larry Merchant at Fres Oquendo.
Oquendo, as Jim mentioned, is trained for the last 5 fights by Don Felix Trinidad, and that helped him become more established as a potential challenger because he was known as a boxer, but 7 knockdowns against up-and-coming Cliff Etienne gave him a higher profile. And if he wins tonight, he may fight Chris Bird for a vacant heavyweight belt should Tyson and Lewis engage in a championship fight.
Across the ring from Oquendo, the most frustrated man in the heavyweight division, David Izon. Here's Larry to tell you why.
David Izon won a silver medal in 1992, beating on successive fights David Tua and Cliff and Kirk Johnson, both top heavyweights. He later lost to Tua in a 12-round slugfest as a pro. But for the last 14 months, he's been idle because 6 or 7 different fights he was supposed to have, including tonight's, incidentally, with Klitschko, have all fallen through.
You'll be hearing from Emmanuel Stewart as the fight begins. Oh, go ahead, Larry.
Just one last item, Jim. Izon has fought in 2 offbeat venues here in New York before, in the Apollo Theater in Harlem and in Radio City Music Hall. On both occasions, he pulled off upsets.
Great note. Now let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Jacob K. Javits Center here in America's greatest city, New York, New York, where tonight Cedric Kushner Promotions is proud to present heavyweight action on HBO Boxing After Dark, brought to you in association with your king of beer, Budweiser and Everlast. First bout also in association with Don King Productions and America Presents. These contests are sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission Chairman Raymond Kelly. The 3 judges assigned to ringside scoring this bout on the 10-point must system will be Bob Gilson, Tony Palillo, and Tom Schreck. And when the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Mike Ortega. And now, 10 rounds of boxing. This is in the heavyweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing blue trimmed with white and weighing in at 222 pounds. His professional record, a perfect one. 21 bouts, 21 victories, including 12 knockouts from San Juan, Puerto Rico, the undefeated Fres Oquendo. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trimmed with white and weighing in at 228 pounds. He has an excellent professional record, 27 victories, including 23 knockouts with only 3 defeats. Fighting out of Pensacola, Florida, here is David Izon.
Okay, gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want a good, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Obey my commands at all times. Good luck to both of you. Touch them up.
David Izon is a gatekeeper kind of heavyweight, the kind of fighter that an up-and-coming fighter is supposed to beat. We'll see if Oquendo can.
There aren't many braver fighters than David Izon, who in at least 2 of his wins absorbed so much punishment that ringside observers were calling for the fights to be stopped before Izon came back to gain miracle victories.
You know, David has admitted himself that he's taken a lot of punishment in his recent fights, and has said that he's been concentrating a lot more in training camp now on being more diversified in his upper body movement, and instead of just holding his hands over his head, basically, and walking opponents down, much in the style of a lot of the boxers who come from African countries.
He trained to fight the 6'6", 255-pound boxer puncher Vladimir Klitschko. He finds himself instead in against a 220-pound heavyweight who boxes and moves an entirely different style, Oquendo.
As a matter of fact, Oquendo probably is one of the few heavyweights today who utilizes footwork a lot. Most of the fighters, including Chris Bird, who's a good defensive fighter, but primarily uses his elbows and his upper body movement without much footwork. But in Oquendo, he's going to deal with a target who's going to be steadily moving and changing angles.
And just as you were making the point, Emmanuel, Oquendo used his feet to set up a left hook by jumping into a different angle and firing the left hook lead that landed against Izon.
Izon has worked it out tonight, but at least he's showing better upper body movement himself. I guess training with Roy Jones, where he's been for the last 3 or 4 years, and Roy Jones' trainer has improved him a little bit too. To what degree it's going to be effective tonight, I don't know.
Because of all the fits and starts in Izon's career, we haven't seen him in 14 months. So what he's been doing in the gym will all be revealed tonight. Oquendo with a solid right hand to the body. Oquendo's a longer jab, and he's using it effectively right now.
Very effectively, and it's amazing. Most of the times when the jab is coming at Izon, he moves his body to the left. He never hardly slips to the right where he can avoid the jab. Once again, he was getting hit with a jab. He's always moving his body to the left as he feels that he's getting close to Oquendo.
And you saw Oquendo look upstairs and land the jab to the body.
Jab has been a very effective weapon at this point in the fight.
Izon missing wildly with the left hook. Oquendo continues to land the jab, increasingly effective as round 1 has gone on.
The jab as well as the balance on the footwork is making a big difference right now. And Oquendo's working it to his advantage.
And in Oquendo's corner, where they will speak Spanish between rounds, our interpreter is the familiar Hector Garcia.
Can't let this guy sit back and just shoot a jab. You waiting on a counter punch. I don't want that. I want you being aggressive. Use some feints, come up with your jab to the head, jab to the body, come back with the right hand.
Keep walking that ring. You have to walk a little more that ring. Use that jab. Your jab is good, but you have to keep walking around. Be calm. You got to move side to side, always to his left. Don't stand still in one spot. You got to move around, never near the ropes. You just got to keep moving around.
Well, whatever there is new about David Izon wasn't working in the first round. Let's see what plan B is.
CompuBox numbers focusing on Oquendo's jab. He landed 15 out of 44. Izon was 1 of 17, and a paltry 2 out of 28 connects in the entire round for Izon. So Oquendo got off to a good start and mounted an offense that dictated the initiative in round 1.
Both fighters have very good amateur background, but it's amazing that still Izon, for the most part, fights with his body square. And as a result of that, his balance is always off balance. And when even he misses a punch, he loses his balance. Whereas Oquendo is boxing on the ball of his feet, and that gives him a great advantage when they both punch at the same time.
Oquendo was raised in Chicago. Both of his parents were from Puerto Rico, so he felt comfortable going back to Puerto Rico a couple of years ago to work with Trinidad, took his family from Chicago to Puerto Rico. As an amateur in Chicago, he had designs on making the 1996 American Olympic team, but was stopped short of that goal by fellow Chicagoan Nate Jones, who went on and took the heavyweight spot.
He was introduced as coming out of San Juan, which he is now, but from the age of 2 for the next 25 years, he never was in Puerto Rico.
You're going to continue to see Oquendo land a jab and get away with it because of Izon being bent over to the left where he can't effectively do anything after that.
And as Izon keeps his body squared up, it just makes him that much more available to target for Oquendo's jab.
Very much so. And he's still flat-footed too, and that's going to, sooner or later, I think Oquendo's going to open up with more punches.
As he did there with a chopping overhand right. That's the punch that bedeviled Clifford Etienne the night that Oquendo shockingly knocked Etienne down 7 times and embarrassed him on his way to an easy victory.
He's so effective with the left jab that the guys get preoccupied with trying to handle the jab, and all of a sudden the big shots come and they never see it.
Izon's left eye is beginning to swell and redden from the impact of Oquendo's jab.
As Oquendo keeps landing those jabs, his confidence is going to grow, and pretty soon he's going to hold over with more other punches. The big artillery is going to come pretty soon.
There are people who question how much big artillery Oquendo has.
I'm one of those, but I think you're going to see quite a bit tonight. I think his confidence has grown a lot more, in particular with the effect of the jab, and he's going to set down on punches a lot better.
Hold it, watch your head. Thank you.
Left hook landed for Oquendo. Another solid round for the moving heavyweight. This Tuesday, December 4. Sports of the 20th Century brings you the game of their lives. Jam-packed with anecdotes and unique footage, this documentary portrays professional football in the 1950s and what it was like for players of that era. The game of their lives premieres this Tuesday, December 4 at 10 p.m. December 11, catch the next edition of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel. We'll show you what has happened in the lives of Bobby Chacon and Danny Little Red Lopez since their memorable featherweight fight 27 years ago. And World Championship Boxing returns December 15 with the rubber match between heavyweight belt holder John Ruiz and former title holder Evander Holyfield. HBO, the heart and soul of boxing.
Let's go forward, not back and lateral. All right, let's go.
David Izon hasn't fought for more than a year, and it shows.
Yeah, and watching Izon eat Oquendo's jab in the first couple of rounds and also get painted to a certain degree with Oquendo's power shots, you shudder to think of what it might have been like for Izon against the kinds of opponents he was expecting to fight in the last year. Mike Tyson on 3 different occasions. Hasim Rahman, that date was set up once. Vladimir Klitschko. It might have looked a lot worse for Izon against guys like that, even than it has against Oquendo.
Keep your hand out there.
Oquendo said that earlier in his career he was a big kid for his age, and as a result he was boxing with a lot of men, so he had to box a lot to protect himself. And I think now as he's matured as a man himself, he's becoming more of a puncher in addition to being a boxer.
What is a puncher who doesn't land a punch?
Let him out. Step back.
Not a puncher.
A swinger. Right hand partially blocked, but enough of it got through to stop Izon in his tracks, and Oquendo is rapidly getting into that target practice area as David just hasn't been able to mount an attack.
Nope, and Izon seems to be now moving into the area of becoming more like he would with Jerry Jefferson, more into a defensive mode now.
I don't think that he can expect Oquendo to get tired and keel over the way Jefferson did in their bout at Radio City Music Hall.
Not going to happen.
The good news is that Izon is not getting hit by fusillades of punches in which you almost want to close your eyes. The bad news is he himself is landing even fewer punches.
And I guess he's had success in fights where he was getting beat quite a bit and hurt and came back and won by knockout. So knowing that's still in his mind, he's going to keep coming at all times and never give up.
That's true. He won't give up. And that alone has caused some people to cringe in situations where David has gotten himself whacked around, as he's getting whacked around right now. Michael Ortega steps in and stops the bout, judging that David Izon is taking too much punishment.
I'm standing there. I can't help you, bro.
And Oquendo has a big win.
He was not. David Izon is not only a rusty fighter, he's a shot fighter.
Yeah, he's finished.
And we've seen a number of Nigerian heavyweights in recent years. Some of them very, very pressing, impressive, but none of them able to really get over the hurdle into being serious heavyweights.
As a result of this upset win and the upset win that Oquendo scored over Clifford Etienne, he right now is in the midst of possibly fighting for a heavyweight championship fight.
Absolutely right.
Maybe against Chris Bird under certain conditions.
Because in one governing body's rankings, Oquendo has now moved into a spot where conceivably he could fight for a belt against Chris Bird. Now, that doesn't make him a heavyweight champion in our view. It means that he gets a chance to fight for a belt for a governing organization which may choose not to recognize the real champion, Lennox Lewis, if he doesn't fight Chris Bird.
But Oquendo is a threat for anybody tonight. He's got good boxing talents from his amateur background, but now he has much more confidence in his punching power now.
And he was in there against an underprepared opponent who really didn't have anything tonight. You're going to watch Oquendo closing the show. He landed 20 of his last 39 power shots. Izon may have been looking to try to counter back off the ropes with one big shot, and he took a couple swings, but referee Michael Ortega ultimately judged that Izon just was not doing enough to defend himself. That's what he told the fighter after the stoppage.
I don't think there could be any complaints coming back from Izon after this, and in particular in the view of so many punches he's taken in recent fights. And it's a danger for him being hurt, which would hurt the entire sport of boxing.
Interestingly, I think you're right, Emmanuel. I think it's a good stoppage, and there's no point in watching David continue to take that kind of punishment. But frankly, he's won 2 fights in which he got beat up worse than that.
But that's correct. But I think this was not going to happen tonight.
All right, let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer now for the official particulars on Oquendo's TKO.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Mike Ortega calls a halt to this bout. The official time, 2 minutes and 54 seconds of round number 3. The winner by knockout victory. He is still the undefeated Fast Fres Oquendo.
Champ, thank you very much, champ. Thanks, baby. Thanks, Lord.
So Fres Oquendo remains undefeated and continues his upward path in the heavyweight division. Final CompuBox numbers show you that David Izon landed a pitiful 9 punches out of 72 thrown in 2+ rounds, while Oquendo was landing a very serviceable 60 out of 166. Oquendo began his dominance of the fight by consistently landing his jab in the first round and continued with the jab through the second round, ultimately going almost exclusively to power shots in the third. Final jab statistics, 5 out of 36 for Izon, 33 out of 111 for Oquendo. And now let's go up to Larry Merchant in the ring with the winner.
Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Frez. It's been a long journey to this night. Could you notice right away that you were just too quick for him, and that did you feel that you would eventually finish him like this?
First of all, I want to say shout outs to my cousin Jumba and Menard and all his boys looking out for him. Mommy, Vino from Mexico. You know, my kids, Maya, Naeem, Solomon, I love you. We'll be home.
You only get a 15-second commercial in your first shot.
Mami, te quiero mucho. Well, coming into the fight, I knew Izon was one of the best heavyweight contenders in the world. That's why he deserved to be one of the top 10. And of course, Izon gave me the opportunity and had to take the step up with me.
We were too quick for him, though, right?
Yeah, I'm the future. I'm young. Really.
Right. So the question is, can your quickness at your size be able to compete with the giant heavyweights we have now in the heavyweight division?
Oh yes, without a doubt. I'm like David and Goliath. You see how Goliath just fell down like a tree? That's what I'm here, baby. I'm David.
All right, you're 220 plus pound, David. The possibility exists that if one of the sanctioning bodies vacates a title, that you might have to fight not a Goliath, but another David, Chris Bird. Is that something you want to do, or do you want to wait for some bigger game?
Well, we got to talk with my management team, my promoters, Don Felicitar, Nicholas Medina. But of course, I prepare well for heavyweight championship. Chris Bird will be a classic. And also John Ruiz. I'd like to send a little message. I'm ready, baby.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Jim?
All right, thank you, Larry. Emanuel Stewart, realistically, that was not much of a test. No test at all, really. So how good is Frez Oquendo at this point?
We don't know, but I was very impressed with what I saw. I like any boxer who operates behind his left jab. And I thought Frez did a great job tonight. He did everything after he started landing his jabs, and he realizes that it was time to send the big boys in after he landed the jab. And he's got a lot of excitement and enthusiasm about what he's doing. He's a refreshing, welcome new sight on the heavyweight division.
The kinds of guys who have beaten Chris Bird, Ike Beabuchi, Vladimir Klitschko, big, strong guys who just went through the smaller Bird. This is a different kettle of fish. Could he beat Chris Bird if he were to fight him for that belt?
It would be a very interesting fight. First of all, Chris Bird is a very intelligent, thinking fighter. Very good defense, but his defense is different because he basically lays in the ropes, picks punches off, moves around lightly. You have to put a lot of pressure on Chris Bird. You have to be very physical with Chris Bird, and you can't be intelligent when you fight Chris Bird. You got to just come in and just start fighting and don't think too much. And I don't know, it could be a difficult fight for him. Fighting, being that one guy's a very good defensive fighter by moving around the ring, another guy's a great defensive fighter by laying in the ropes and slipping and sliding punches. But it would be a great defensive fight to a certain degree until somebody decides that somebody has got to start fighting.
All right, we got to get to the second of our two fights, but Larry wants to make one more comment. What is it?
People want their heavyweight champion to be an eagle, not a hummingbird.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
That's what they want. That isn't always what they get, but yes, we understand that. All right, one fight down, still to come this evening. The second of our two heavyweight bouts will pit Jameel McCline, 6 feet 7 inches tall, from the North Shore of Long Island. He'll have a big local following here in the Javits Center tonight. And his opponent is 6 foot 8 inch Lance Whitaker, changing his name to Goofy. Next time you see him, he wants to be called Goofy and only Goofy. They're coming up against each other next.